It's Sunday morning, so you know what that means. Today we are continuing with the third episode of Why I Want, the prospect series on this YouTube channel, where we talk about some of the top names heading into the upcoming NHL entry draft. Now, for the first time this season, we are actually throwing a curveball, and not going over a guy who has been unanimously ranked as a top 5 or a top 10 pick. Instead, we're going over a guy whose name you've probably seen a lot of over the past few days, especially if you are anywhere near hockey Twitter. Today, we are going over a name whose last name you probably are a bit familiar with, considering his dad was a legend in the NHL, and he's started to really put things together in the WHL. Today, we're heading over to the Kelowna Rockets and talking about Tij Iginla. Now, yes, before we dive into Tij Iginla, we've got to get the father comparison out of the way. Jarome Iginla was one of the best Calgary Flames of all time. And such a stud when he was in his heyday. He never had 100 points in a season, but he hit 90 multiple times, and he was actually really close to hitting 100 in 07-08. But Jarome Iginla was just such a classy dude. He won the Maurice Richard twice, he won the Art Ross once, he won the Ted Lindsay as well. He was a stud, and one of the defining players in the entire National Hockey League in the 2000s to early 2010s. He was so good. Now, Tij Iginla is not necessarily a guy who projects to playing the same way, but there are some very good things to like about his game. Tij is 17 years old, born on August 1st, 2006, which makes him one of the youngest players eligible for this year's entry draft. He's 6 feet 185 as a left-handed forward, and playing for the Kelowna Rockets, his consolidated ranking right now is 23rd overall. Elite Prospects has him at 14, Daily Faceoff at 13. You've got a bunch of these outlets ranking him in the teens range, but then you have some that are a little bit lower, like Draft Prospects Hockey, which see him at 31. Honestly, if it wasn't for this ranking, he'd probably be a unanimous ranked top 20, top 17-ish pick, so definitely a mid-first rounder, maybe even pushing into the top 10 if you wanted to say that. Part of the reason we say that is because Tij Iginla, playing for the Seattle Thunderbirds last year, had 18 points in 48 games played, which wasn't amazing for a draft -1 player, but it was his first full season in the WHL. However, this season, after getting sent over to the Kelowna Rockets, Tij Iginla has 55 points in 40 games played, 31 goals and 24 assists, and he's on pace for 91 total points on the season, which would be astounding. Before we get into how exactly it is that he plays and how he's able to get these points, let's go over some of the numbers and comparisons to other guys who have made an impact at the WHL level. This is what Naval went out there and tweeted from yesterday. Here are some random draft year WHL player paces. Tij Iginla, with his point production, is at 1.38 points per game, which is better than Brayden Point, who had a 1.26, Dylan Cozens, who had a 1.24, Kirby Dach, who had a 1.18, and Connor Geekie, who had a 1.11. Now, what do a lot of these players have in common? Well, they were all top picks. Dylan Cozens and Kirby Dach were taken in 2019. Cozens was 7th overall, Dach was 3rd overall. Connor Geekie was taken just outside the top 10 in 2022. And for Brayden Point, he wasn't really a top pick. He was a 3rd-round guy when he was eligible to be drafted, but he's a fantastic player now, and he's gotten multiple 90-point seasons in the NHL, including a 50-goal season last year. Now, I'm not going to say that Tij Iginla is guaranteed to being a top 3 pick or that he's guaranteed to getting 50 goals in the NHL anytime soon, but what I will say is that the raw hard point production is in his favor, and when you watch a lot of the tape as to what he's able to do to get these points, you start to believe a little bit more in the overall skill set that he has. If I had to summarize it in my own words and try to paint a picture in one sentence, I'd say that Tij Iginla is a really skilled, sneaky puck hound. A guy who's got a really good ability to hold onto the puck, especially while under pressure in board battle scenarios, and who's able to use some really nifty footwork and fancy dekes to keep possession of the puck as he cuts towards the inside. This is a really unique player who doesn't have the size of a Connor Geekie or the pace of a Brayden Point. He doesn't have the physical dominance that a Kirby Dach has, nor does he have the buzzsaw-like work ethic like Dylan Cozens, just to name those other guys guys we had talked about. What Tij Iginla instead has is a very unique set of skills that allows him to deke by guys and hold onto the puck when necessary. When he has the puck on his stick, he makes some very good, strong passes that usually result in scoring chances, and when he's able to fire the puck on goal himself, he usually uses all the space available to him in the best way possible. He's not afraid to hold onto the puck for an extra second or two to open up a different angle and find snipes that way. But also, when he needs to bust out a fancy move, he can. Part of the reason I decided to make the video Why I Want on Tij Iginla today is because a lot of his highlights have been popping off on social media the past little while, including some very cool goals, like the one he scored against the Vancouver Giants just 2 days ago, where he dekes by 2 Giants defenders on the rush, finds himself on a mini breakaway, and then while falling down, backhand chops the puck through the goalie's 5-hole and gets it to go, giving Kelowna the lead with 8 minutes left in the third period. That was a spectacular goal, and it went viral yesterday because a lot of people were saying, wait a minute, this guy's like actually legit. He's got so many cool, nifty tricks up his sleeve when it comes to forcing himself into open space, getting the puck on goal, and just allowing himself to maintain possession. Off the puck, he hounds his opposition, he's a forechecking beast, and he's able to really get under his opponent's lines in order to give them as little time and space as possible. Tij Iginla just knows what it means to be an effective off-puck player. And while I won't say he's no Patrice Bergeron, this is definitely a guy who, if you have him on your third or fourth line as a grinder option just to keep the puck out of your own net, he definitely won't do a bad job and cause some unnecessary turnovers. In fact, to help us out even more with this idea, let's go over on Adaber Prospects because they do have a report on Iginla back from November 2023. The fantasy summary reads this, that he is a goal scorer with a very good release and good offensive instincts. Though the scoring has dried up somewhat from his red-hot start, Tij Iginla still looks like an interesting prospect. Besides the name pedigree, Iginla is an easy player to root for. His habits away from the puck are a definite strength, from his frequent scanning, active stick, good forechecking routes, and hard-nosed back-checking. Iginla's best skills seem to be in slowing the play down to give him space or finding soft spots on the ice. He gets off the wall to the middle quickly, and can also drift into high-danger areas, and when paired with his lightning-quick snapshot, makes him a dangerous goal scorer. Though his skating isn't elite, he's got quickness, stability, and mobility, which helps him be a solid transition player, though there are more useful off the cycle, where he is just as effective, solving problems and playing a possession game. Iginla might lack the high-end dynamism of some of the other WHLers in this class, but his combination of all-around skills and pro-level habits make him a good enough bet to be a contributing NHL piece. Now, to help us out even further, what I wanted to do was give a shout out to a video on YouTube that, at the time of recording this audio, literally has 0 views. This was published by Simon St. Laurent earlier yesterday, Tij Iginla scouting report. It's at 0 views. I mean, it should be at 1 now because I actually took a look and watched the video. He's got all the highlights, he's got all the things that are clipped in the video, and he has a great analysis. Simon St. Laurent reminds me almost like Andy LaHoo from a few years ago, if you remember his YouTube videos on prospects. But if you wanted an extended look as to more highlights and more analyses to Iginla and his game, St. Laurent is your guy. Go ahead and check this video out. I'll leave a link to it in the description. I don't personally like using the clips in my videos because I'm very afraid of copyright material, but there are some other content creators that are daring enough to use it, so I will give a shout out and all the love in the world to those. And then if you wanted to see even further highlights, there are a lot of hat trick videos on the Western Hockey League's YouTube channel in regards to Tij Iginla and what he's been able to do. Long story short, the guy's a goal-scoring beast who has a lot of extra skills that could be very applicable to the NHL. If you wanted to say that his goal scoring or his foot speed may hold him back from being a top goal scorer in the National Hockey League, at the very least, this could be a very unique kind of player who hounds on the puck in the offensive zone and who's really nifty in being able to free up space. At the end of the day, if Tij Iginla maxes out as a 15-20 goal guy in the NHL, maybe getting, let's say, a total of 40-50 points in a year, I definitely think that's fine, especially considering the intangibles he has in his game. Sure, his dad was a just multi-time Rocket Richard winner, Art Ross winner, one of the best players in the NHL, so that's tough to follow. But for now, Tij Iginla is a guy who, if you take him in the mid part of the first round, you could be seeing a very interesting and successful prospect at that spot years down the line. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Tij Iginla, a guy who is outscoring players in the WHL like Brayden Point and Dylan Cousins, and a player who has his own unique skill set too. Thoughts in the comment section as to how he plays and if you'd want him for your team. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.